I always wanted to make people laugh. Ever since I was a child, watching the clowns at the old Midville Fair, I admired their painted smiles, their exaggerated movements, their ability to transform fear into laughter. I didn't understand back then how thin the line was between the two. My name is Ethan, or at least that's what I was called before I became something else. Now they call me Twist. It started as a dream job. A small traveling show called Crimson Clover needed a new clown, and I jumped at the opportunity. It felt like fate. My brother, Liam, and I used to talk about joining the circus when we were kids. He was my only family. With him around, I never needed another best friend. He passed away 2 years ago, suddenly, unexpectedly. A car accident. I never really got over it. I was all alone, no one to share my feelings with. The gaping hole in my heart never healed. We used to perform little shows for the neighborhood. He was always the funnier one, the one with big shoes and an even bigger laugh. When I got the job, I found his old red nose tucked in a box of our childhood things. I wore it during my first performance. It felt right. It was as if he was right there with me, performing. My routines were simple at first. The audience laughed and I fed off that energy, perfecting my act each night. At first, everything was beautiful. I was Ethan the clown, silly, lovable, a crowd favorite. My routines were playful slapstick, balloon animals, harmless pranks. I juggled rubber chickens and pies, danced to circus music with exaggerated flair. Kids would cheer and reach for my balloons. Adults would smile warmly, some wiping away tears of laughter. I had a signature routine, chasing a tiny wind-up mouse around the stage, only for it to somehow outsmart me at every turn. Even the adults laughed at that one, appreciating the absurdity of a full-grown man losing to a toy. The sound of laughter was intoxicating. I wasn't just a clown, I was a favorite. After shows, kids would line up to take pictures with me, tugging at my sleeves and asking for autographs. The other performers would tease me lightheartedly, calling me the heart of the show. After every performance, we'd gather around the bonfire behind the tents, telling stories, sharing drinks, laughing. The ringmaster would slap me on the back and say, "You're magic, Ethan, pure magic." Madame Lies, the fortune teller, would often shake her head in mock exasperation. "You have a way with people, Ethan. You bring them joy. That's a rare thing." Even Vance, the knife thrower who prided himself on being the stoic, brooding type, admitted, "I actually like your act, and I don't even like clowns." But grief has a strange way of lingering. At night, I'd still feel that ache. I'd talk to Liam's nose like he could hear me. Some nights I thought I did hear him. A whisper, a chuckle just beyond the canvas walls of my trailer. I chalked it up to exhaustion. Things changed when we traveled to a remote mountain town. I'd never heard of Black Hollow. The fairgrounds were nestled in a moss-covered field surrounded by fog and silence. No birds, no wind, just the creak of the old wooden wagons and the distant howl of something unseen. Not long after we set up, I fell ill. It started with a high fever, night sweats, and the strangest dreams. In them I was performing under a starless sky. The audience was always silent, their faces blurred in my reflection. My reflection would laugh on its own. Madame Lies offered to read my cards one night. She frowned and drew the tower, then death, then the fool reversed. "You've opened something," she said softly, "and something has opened in you." After Black Hollow, I was never quite the same. My routine stayed the same, but the reactions changed. At first, I thought it was just a bad night. Maybe the audience was tired, or maybe I had lost my touch. But night after night, the same thing happened. Children would laugh at first, then stare, confused. Their smiles would melt into silence. Parents shifted uncomfortably. Some left midway through my act. Even my fellow performers grew distant, avoiding my gaze, keeping their conversations short. I blamed the illness. Maybe I still looked pale, or maybe I'd lost my timing. I asked my boss about it. He shifted uncomfortably and muttered something about clowns always being a little unsettling, but his answer didn't satisfy me. But then I saw it. A woman in the front row, her face frozen in horror. A man clenching his jaw, unable to look away. A girl crying silently, clutching her seat. But the worst part was when I looked in the mirror backstage. I didn't recognize myself. My face paint had always been simple: red nose, exaggerated smile, bright blue diamonds around my eyes. But now my makeup was off. I hadn't touched it. My red nose, Liam's nose, seemed darker, somehow cracked. My face in the mirror was wrong. The smile stretched too far. My eyes had sunk into my face, rimmed with something that looked like soot. I wiped at it with a damp cloth, but it didn't come off so easily. Finally, when I finished cleaning it off, the image remained, not on my skin, on the glass. The other performers noticed. I passed the fire eaters and their chatter stopped cold. The animal trainer avoided my eyes. Whispers followed me. I overheard hushed conversations behind closed tent flaps. Have you seen Twist lately? He's different. I don't like being near him anymore. Feels like he's watching even when he's not. I swear to God, I saw his reflection move on its own. One night after my act, I caught the knife thrower, Vance, and the fortune teller, Madame Lies, speaking in low voices behind the main tent. We should talk to the ringmaster, Vance muttered. He's losing control of whatever he's doing. It's not the ringmaster, Lies whispered back. It's him. Something has latched onto Twist, I feel it. That name, Twist. They had started calling me that. I hadn't introduced myself that way. I stepped closer. The crate beneath my foot creaked. They turned sharply, faces pale. What are you two talking about? I asked. I tried to sound lighthearted. My voice came out strained. Lies looked at me with pity and fear. Something is wrong with you, Ethan. You've changed. Your aura is corrupted. Vance shook his head. It's not just the audience. We all feel it. Take a break. Leave, man. Get out of here. I wanted to argue, to tell them they were being ridiculous, but I couldn't, because I felt it too. I stopped sleeping. When I closed my eyes, I heard whispers, laughter that didn't sound right, too high-pitched, too breathy, echoing in the empty corners of my room. My reflection changed, little by little, each night. My grin grew sharper, my eyes hollowed out further, and the worst part was I couldn't stop performing. The ringmaster wouldn't let me. I told him I wanted to leave, that something was wrong, that I wasn't feeling well. He only stared at me with an unreadable expression before shaking his head. You're our best act now, Twist, he said. They might not laugh, but they'll remember you. I started avoiding mirrors, but I couldn't escape my own image. Every reflective surface mocked me. My face twisted in ways it shouldn't, my lips moving when I hadn't spoken. I would catch glimpses of myself grinning from ear to ear, my head tilting unnaturally, my eyes locked onto mine even as I turned away. Then the accident started. A tightrope walker fell during a performance, snapped her neck. The strong man crushed his own hand in a feat of strength gone wrong. And the audience, they just sat there, silent, staring at me. I wasn't even performing when it happened, but somehow I knew it was because of me. I tried to leave in the dead of the night. I packed my things, wiped off the makeup, ditched Liam's nose, and stepped out of my wagon. But as soon as I reached the edge of the fairgrounds, my body wouldn't move. My feet stuck to the ground as if invisible chains bound me in place. No matter how hard I struggled, I couldn't take another step. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. The whispers came again. I turned around unwillingly. The field behind me was full. People standing silently, blurred faces, motionless bodies, all staring, all smiling. I ran back to my wagon and locked the door, my heart pounding. I never once looked back. The whispers seeped through the walls, growing louder, overlapping voices hissing my name. Twist. I looked in the mirror again. I wish I hadn't. My reflection wasn't mine anymore. It blinked when I didn't, it tilted its head and giggled. Then it stepped forward, out of the mirror. I blacked out. I don't remember what happened after that. Flashes remained, blood, laughter, screaming, cold hands on my face. When I woke, it was morning. Silent. The fairgrounds were empty. No performers, no audience. Just me. And my reflection watching me from every mirror, every polished surface, whispering my name. Twist. He smiles now, even when I don't. I don't know where Ethan went. Maybe he died in Black Hollow. Maybe he was consumed by grief, by the infection, by something older than either. All I know is the show still performs. But now the tent is always full. And they're always smiling.